This webinar is a beginner's guide to health and fitness. My name is Edward Hart. I'm presenting this today for a beginner's guide to individuals who, are looking for just a little bit of information on how to get started to a healthier life. A little bit about me. I am a student at Kaiser University studying sports med. I also hold a CPT with Ace Fitness, and I'm licensed in the state of Florida to perform massage therapy. All right, today's topics for today will be SMART goals. I'm going to go over SMART goals, what the acronym SMART stands for. Nutrition, I'm going to talk about calories. I'm going to talk about total daily energy expenditure and your basal metabolic rate, what these two things are and why they're important. I'm going to go ahead and also discuss the 2015 to 2020 dietary guidelines for Americans. I'm going to talk about the American Council on Sports Medicine's resistance and cardiorespiratory training, as well as activities of daily living and overall health benefits of both nutrition and fitness. I'm gonna conclude with going over some websites and some apps that you can use that I think are relevant for today's topics and sources you can go to that can help you. And then I'm going to wrap everything up. All right, so let's go ahead and start with SMART goals. What is a SMART goal? Well, a SMART goal is one that is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. So why do we want to set a SMART goal? Well, because SMART goals are important in reaching a fitness objective. Statistics today show that 70% of Americans are overweight, 50% are on diets that do not work, and only 5% of the population are doing some form of meaningful exercise. So before you begin anything, any sort of fitness regimen or any sort of diet regimen, you should sit down and write out a SMART goal. You want to be specific. You want to state exactly what you want to accomplish. I want to lose weight. Well, that's not specific enough. Say if you're overweight, you state, I want to lose 20 pounds. Now you've stated a specific goal. You stated exactly what you want to accomplish. I want to lose 20 pounds. Now is that specific goal, is it measurable? Can I use smaller mini goals to measure my overall progress? Sure. So if you're looking to lose 20 pounds, you can weigh yourself once a week to see if you're losing one to 2 pounds. Next, you want to make your goal reasonable. Okay, so if you're overweight and you want to lose 20 pounds, is that a reasonable goal? Sure it is. Is it also achievable? Yes, most definitely 20 pounds is a reasonable, achievable goal. Next, you want your goal to be realistic. You want to set a goal that is relevant to your life. Well, if you're overweight, losing 20 pounds is a realistic goal. And then finally, you want to set a time. You want to give yourself time, but you want to set a deadline. So say 3 months. You want to lose the 20 pounds in 3 months. So now you've stated a specific goal, something that's specific, 20 pounds. You can measure that goal by weighing yourself once a week. Your goal is reasonable and achievable. It's also realistic and it's timely. So from there, now that you have this goal, you're ready to begin your journey. And the first place where everybody likes to start is nutrition. So let's go ahead and delve right into that. All right, well, you can't talk about nutrition without first starting with calories. You hear it every day, the calories in versus calories out. But what is a calorie? A calorie is the amount of heat needed to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius. Calories in our food and in certain drinks provide the energy in the form of heat so that our bodies can function. Our bodies can either burn a calorie or store it. Your total daily energy expenditure, your TDEE, is an estimation of how many calories you burn per day when exercise is considered. It is calculated by first figuring out our basal metabolic rate, then multiplying that value by an activity multiplier. The majority of the calories that we burn are during our resting metabolic rate. We burn about 70% of our daily energy while we rest. Thermogenesis, which is the process the body generates heat or energy, for instance, a structured exercise or spontaneous activity, makes up about 15 to 30% of our body's daily caloric expenditure. The thermic effect of food, which basically is when we digest food, we absorb it or transport it or store it, accounts for about 10% of our body's TDE. So to put this in more perspective, we'll go ahead and use this chart here. So as you can see, we have a 45-year-old male, weighs 145 pounds, is 5'4", with light exercise. He knew his body fat percentage was, so he plugged that in. As you can see, it's optional, 12%. So after calculating, what did he get? Well, as you can see here, his calories per day, in order for him to maintain weight, is 2,228 calories a day. So the rule usually is if you want to lose weight, you want to subtract 500 calories from this number right here to lose about 1 pound a week. Why is that? Because there's 3,500 calories in 1 pound. So if you eliminate 500 calories from the 2,228, 500 calories for 7 days is 3,500 calories. And when it comes to losing weight, you want to you want to safely lose 1 to 2 pounds a week. So between the 500 calories less per day as well as exercising, you'll safely lose about a pound or two. As you can see here, the basal metabolic rate of 1620. This is very important. Okay, I want you to understand the basal metabolic rate is the lowest amount of calories you need to be taking in per day. Why is that? Because our body needs to function. Our organs need to function. So this number right here, you never want to go below your basal metabolic rate for health reasons especially. And another thing that people do when they do these charts, they make a mistake here. As you can see here, this person here put light exercise because he works a desk job and he works out for about an hour a day afterwards. That's fine. A lot of people think, oh, I go to the gym for an hour a day after work, so I'm moderately exercising. This whole block right here, from sedentary all the way down to athlete, this is what you're doing in a full day. So if you're somebody who works at a desk and goes to the gym an hour a day, it's safer to say light exercise. Why is that? Because as you can see, there's a big jump here between how many calories per day is needed to keep the body weight you're at, than to if you would put moderate exercise and follow this regimen right here. You see, you have almost 300 calories more. So if you're exercising in your head more than you actually are physically, you're actually going to be gaining weight because you're going to be putting more calories into your body that is needed. So what I always tell people is go one less. So if you think you moderately exercise, go ahead and put in the activator as light exercise. It's better to be safe than sorry. And hey, in the long run, you may lose a little bit of extra weight, but that's what we want. So these are important things to go ahead and look at. Now, when it comes to nutrition, a lot of reasons why people fail is because they go off a diet. You don't need to diet in order to lose weight. What you need to do is follow your caloric intake and follow guidelines that are put out by the Dietary Guidelines of America. And what I'm going to show you here in a second is by following your caloric intake, you don't have to give up the foods that you love. All you have to do is follow your caloric intake, make some shifts within your dietary plan, and you will see weight loss over time. So what I want to talk about next is I want to go ahead. All right, so the 2015 and 2020 Dietary Guidelines for Americans. So what is the Dietary Guidelines for Americans? What's put out about every 5 years from the Department of Health and Human Resources. And as I showed on the previous slide, once you know your caloric intake, it doesn't matter whether or not I eat chicken breasts all day or if I eat donuts. If I stick to my caloric intake, I'm either going to maintain the weight I'm at, or if I'm trying to gain weight, I'm going to gain weight, or lose weight. But what matters is my overall health. And these guidelines are put out there so that people start to make shifts and get away from eating the unhealthy foods. So I just want to go over, some of the important guidelines and show you how you can incorporate this into your everyday life. So first, as we can see, you want to follow a healthy eating pattern across all food and beverage choices. What that basically means is choose a healthy eating pattern and add an appropriate calorie level to help achieve and maintain a healthy body weight, support nutrient adequacy, and reduce the risk of chronic diseases. Healthy eating patterns limits saturated fats and trans fats, added sugar and sodium. So, we want to get away from the unhealthy fats, the saturated fats, the trans fats and sugars, uh, as well as a lot of sodium. We want to focus on variety of nutrient density and the amount. To meet nutrient needs within calorie limits, choose a variety of nutrient-dense foods across and within all food groups in recommended amounts. Food that is high in nutrients but relatively low in calories, such as salmon, good fishes, vegetables. These are nutrient-dense food. What that means is that they contain a lot of the vitamins and minerals that we need, as well as the complex carbohydrates and the lean proteins and the healthy fats. And in a low amount of calories. So in other words, we could eat more of these foods and the calorie count will be lower. Um, we want to shift, from whole milks and get to fat-free or low-fat dairy products. We want to include things like milk, yogurt, cheese, and/or fat-avoid, uh, including fortified soy beverages. We want to eat a variety of protein foods, including seafoods, lean meats and poultries, eggs, beans and peas, nuts, seeds, and soy products. We want to limit our calories from added sugar and saturated fat and reduce sodium. How can we do this? Well, we could cut back on foods that are higher in components to the amount that fit with healthy eating patterns. So we want to consume less than 10% of our calories per day from added sugar. We want to consume less than 10% of calories per day from saturated fats. And we want to consume less than 2,300 milligrams per day of sodium. We want to shift to a healthier food and beverage choice. Choose nutrient-dense foods and beverages across all food within all food groups in place of less healthy choices. Consider cultural and personal preferences to make these shifts easier to accomplish and maintain. And finally, macronutrients. Um, the guidelines that are put out to follow are basically protein. You want to have about 10 to 35% of your caloric intake from protein products, fats about 20 to 35%, and carbohydrates between 45 and 65%. That is just a guideline. That can change and fluctuate depending on certain goals, whether you're an athlete and you want to consume more protein. But just know, as those percentages change, in one area you need to change the percentage in others so that your caloric intake remains the same. I just wanted to touch on a few guidelines to help you with nutrition. Now I'd like to get into uh, fitness, what we can do fitness-wise to improve our health. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about physical activity, fitness. Okay, we're going to go ahead and use the American Council on Sports Medicine's recommendation. They recommend for most adults to engage in at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise each week. Exercise recommendations can be met through 30 to 60 minutes of moderate intensity exercise 5 days per week, or 20 to 60 minutes of vigorous intensity exercise 3 days a week. Now, what I'm talking about here is your cardiovascular, okay? And for people that have desk jobs, there are ways throughout the day which we call the active daily living, where you can incorporate things that you can do throughout your day to enhance this, to work on your cardio from work. And how can we do this? Well, the company's door, we could park farther away. That way we have to walk further. If we work on one of the floors other than the first floor, instead of taking the elevator, we could take the stairs. Um, we could get up from our desk every hour, walk around for 5 minutes or so. Just, I mean, if you think about that just in one day, if you just take the part from getting up from your desk and walking around 5 minutes every hour, and say if you work an eight-hour day, that's 40 minutes. So you pretty much have met the 30 to 60-minute range of moderate intensity just from doing that, walking around. Um, we could do other things. We can stand at our desk and use a riser. That we were constantly shifting our body and we're constantly moving, we're constantly burning calories. We could sit on a bouncy ball. By sitting on a bouncy ball, you have to engage your core in order to stay balanced. And just by engaging your core, you're going to be burning calories. Not only are you going to be strengthening your core, but you're going to strengthen your lower back. So these are things that you can incorporate throughout your day at work to help with your overall cardiovascular needs. Um, the American Council of Sports Medicine for resistance exercises for adults. Adults should train each muscle group 2 to 3 days each week using a variety of exercises and equipment. Very light or light intensity is best for older individuals or previously sedentary adults just starting to exercise. You should incorporate 2 to 4 sets of each exercise with anywhere between 8 and 20 reps. With this, most adults will improve both strength and power. Now, right away, if you're someone saying, "Oh, you know what? Here we go to a gym," no. Resistance training can be anything. It can be anything from your body to purchasing a set of resistance bands to our TRX kit. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to go to the gym. So if you're somebody who's uncomfortable and you're not ready to lift weights because you're not used to them, you don't feel strong, you could purchase these things and do these things from home. You could do them in the morning before you go to work, or you could do them in the evening when you come home. You can use your body weight for resistance training, such as push-ups, crunches. You could do some body squats. You could use the resistance bands, a TRX kit. All these things can be done from your home. And over time, using these resistances, you're going to build up strength and power. And from there, I would suggest over time to either purchasing more equipment as far as heavier weights so that you can build upon that strength and power, or joining a gym. Because between nutrition and fitness, the health benefits alone over time, you will lower your insulin and glucose levels. You will improve your VO2 max, and what that is your VO2 max is the volume of oxygen that your body, through doing cardiovascular exercises like walking around or jogging or running, improves. And what happens is over time is the oxygen is able to go into your body and transport to your organs better than it is if you're not doing anything. So it improves on that. You improve on muscle mass and strength gains. You will lower your risk of heart disease, obesity. And remember earlier with the nutrition I spoke about, raising your metabolic rate, that 70% of the caloric expenditure that you burn is while you're at rest. So by incorporating resistance training, especially into your exercise regimen, you'll put on leaner mass through proper nutrition. That leaner mass, well, your body has to work harder in order to hold on to that. So just at rest, you will burn more calories by putting on lean mass. So you will go from having more fat to leaner muscle to overall burning more calories, anywhere up to 100 calories a day, just from putting on lean muscle. Older adults should also work, a little bit each week on some stretches, more flexible. You should do this at least 2 to 3 days each week to improve range of motion. Each stretch should be held for about 10 to 20 seconds to the point of tightness or slight discomfort. You should repeat each stress 2 to 4 times a session, accumulating approximately 60 seconds per stretch. So I mean, all these things that you can do just from your home or at work. A case study that was put out by the Medicine and Science and Sports and Exercise Journal of the American College of Sports Medicine studied aerobic and resistance training in patients, and the participants who who did both endurance and strength training increased their aerobic capacity by 16%. Participants also showed significant muscle mass and strength gains, and according to the Journal of the American Medical Association, people who do weight training also lower the risk of heart disease, which, by the way, heart disease is the leading cause of death in the United States. Also, strength training is also important for older adults. That without using strength training, your muscles, when you don't use them, will atrophy. They'll start to decay. Uh, your resting metabolic rate will also lower. You won't burn as many calories at rest, which means you're going to put on more fat. So without incorporating the strength training into an exercise program, males will lose approximately 7 pounds of muscle in a decade, and women will lose about 5. This loss in muscle results in about 2% to 4% metabolic reduction per decade. Also, we also want to build up on that strength so that we have stronger bones. We all know that when we get older, especially for females um, as your menstrual rate goes down, or stops, your bones become more brittle as well, and when our bones become more brittle, they easily break. That's why you see when an older person falls down, a lot of times they'll break something like their hip because their bones become more brittle. So strength training, cardiovascular training, all these things, help to slow that down. Circuit strength training will, replace muscle, recharge the body's metabolism, and reduce body fat. It will also improve your musculoskeletal fitness. Just remember that regular strength training will also increase resting energy expenditure by, as I said earlier, 100 calories per day, because the leaner muscle you have, the harder your body has to work. So, think about that. The leaner muscle you have, you're burning more calories at rest. And I don't know anybody who wouldn't want to burn more calories at rest. Um, so, I hope I was able to touch up on just a few things on the fitness aspect of it. And from here now, I want to go ahead and talk about um, some websites and some apps that I believe that could be helpful, and that could guide people into being able to set a caloric expenditure, how to count my calories or find my TDEE. So in my next segment, I will discuss that. Right. Lastly, I just want to touch up on some websites and apps that you can use from your phone that I think will help you along the way. The first one I'd like to talk about is the Choose My Plate. The Choose My Plate, that is government run. It's from the United States Department of Agriculture. It's really good. It's got a website. It's got a website as well as an app. And on their website, it talks about healthy eating as well for um, all different types of folks, whether you're pregnant woman, a child, to a older adult. They also, have a food journal as well that will allow you to put in your information to figure out how many calories you need, and you can track your food as well on this website as well as their app. But they have a lot of also learning information, better eating and what have you, shifts, as we talked about earlier. This is a really good one right here. Um, Fitwatch. Fitwatch is a really good app too as well, because with this one, same thing as well. You could put in your information to get your total daily and energy expenditure. And what's good about this one, you could put in like how many meals you're going to eat a day. Is it going to be like 3 meals a day with, say, 2 snacks? And they'll break down everything for you as far as how many calories per meal or snack you need to meet your requirements. So this is a very simple tool to find that one out. Um, my Fitness Pal, that's Under Armour. They also have a website as well as an app. This one is really good. They have a free version, but also they also have one where you can pay, and it's about $49.99 a year. And what's good about the one that you pay for, you get all the basic information for free. But if you don't have time to sit there and write out your food plan, like how many calories are in this, how many grams of protein, well, with the paid version, they, using your phone, you could take a picture of the barcode on the food item, and the only thing you have to then do yourself is put the serving amount that you're going to have, and it will track your food, yourself. It will track the calories. It will track your macronutrients, your protein, your fats, and your carbohydrates. How much saturated is in the fat. So you don't have to write anything down. It will track it all for you. So it saves a lot of time. It also, all the information on the app that you download will also transfer to the information on the website. So the good thing about this as well is, as you start scanning in more food and putting in servings amounts, it stores the information. So as you continually, eat, a variety of food, but the more food you store, you don't have to continuously take photos of the barcode. You can go into the search box and you can type in the food, even if you only remember a few letters of the food, and it'll populate food choices for you, and that way you could just click it and then change servings as needed. The MyFitnessPal is really good when it comes to tracking your in and out calories, your macros, and what have you. My plate is, you can do that if as well, but it's more time consuming because you have to put everything in yourself. But my plate has a lot of information on eating healthy, more so than MyFitnessPal. The Ace Fitness Educator. This is free. This is free. You don't even have to have a login account. And on here, you'll find a whole bunch of tools and calculators that can help you out. This is really good when you need calculations. So I recommend using the Ace Fitness calculator for calculator tools. And a few slides back when I showed you the TDE calculator. Well, here's the website for that. So that way you can get your BMR, your basal metabolic rate as well. So you know how many calories you don't want to go below, as well as how many calories you need per day as well. So here's the website for that one as well. And on there, when you plug everything in, they will also give you other things like your weight range, what's a healthy weight range, as well as your BMI, your body mass index to let you know if you're in weight, if you're in compliance, if you're overweight or obese. A couple of good apps for tools as well as, math tools. I'll recommend apps like FitMath and FitCal. These are really good tools to help you out as well, to find out your total daily energy expenditure, your BMI, and anything that needs to be calculated per your fitness or dietary goals. You can find them here as well. Um, I just want to touch on a couple of websites and stuff. Uh, these are all useful. I recommend them, but it's not a get all. There are plenty more out there, but these right here are more than enough to get you going on what you want to do. Let's go ahead and finally wrap things up. So, okay, so what did we talk about today? All right, we talked about nutrition, right? We talked about setting a SMART goal. We talked about what a SMART goal is. We talked about calories and how do we determine how many calories we need per day in order to maintain the way we're at, gain weight or lose weight. We talked about the dietary guidelines for Americans, ways to shift to eat healthier, to include um, healthier foods into our dietary plan. We talked about our macros. We talked about what protein we talked about our fats and our carbs. We talked about how if we increase one, we have to decrease another, and all this is based on our needs. We also talked about food tracking, ways that we can use tracking as far as using the USDA MyPlate or the Under Armour Fitness Pal. We discussed fitness using the American Council of Sports Medicine's cardiorespiratory of 150 minutes of moderate intensity exercise each week. We talked about resistance training and flexibility. Activities of daily living, what we could do, throughout the day to burn more calories, to become more healthier. And we focused on health benefits of um, both cardiorespiratory fitness as well as resistance training. So I hope I was able to bring forth some information for you to get started. These are tools that you can go ahead and use. I have everything backed up too as well. This isn't just coming from me. This is coming from, published sources. And but I also recommend going and doing your own research and finding out, everything that you need to know that works for you. This is just a tool and some resources I wanted to put out there, and I hope everybody begins to start changing around those statistics and starts working on becoming more healthier. Thank you for your time.